There's something interesting that happens with drinking. Very few people wake up one morning and suddenly realise, I need to stop drinking. Instead, something much quieter happens. A thought appears, maybe while you're pouring a drink, or the morning after. A small voice that says, this doesn't feel quite right anymore. And then nothing changes. Sometimes for years. So the real question isn't, why do people drink? The real question is, why do people wait so long to change something they already know isn't working? For most people, the awareness comes long before the change. It might show up as small moments like wondering why you're drinking on a Tuesday night, promising yourself you'll cut down next week, realizing you don't even enjoy it as much anymore. But the interesting thing is, awareness alone rarely changes behavior, because drinking is deeply woven into normal life. It's how people celebrate, how they unwind, how they socialize, how they mark the end of the day. So when something feels off, it's very easy to tell yourself, it's not that bad, everyone drinks, I'll deal with it later. And later becomes next month, then next year, then 5 years. Most people who eventually changed their relationship with alcohol didn't hit some dramatic rock bottom. They spent years in what I call the comfortable middle. Life still works, you're still functioning, you're still going to work, still socializing, still managing everything on the surface. But underneath, something doesn't feel aligned anymore. Maybe it's the broken promises. Maybe it's the tired mornings. Maybe it's the sense that alcohol has quietly become your default. And yet, because things aren't falling apart, it just feels easier to keep going. The cost of waiting isn't usually dramatic, it's subtle. It looks like years of low energy, years of broken promises to yourself, years of wondering if life could feel clearer. But because the change never feels urgent, it gets postponed. And the strange thing is that when people finally do change their relationship with alcohol, many of them say the same thing. They say, I wish I'd done this earlier. Not because life was terrible before, but because they didn't realise how much better it could feel. And if this idea feels familiar, if you've had those quiet moments of questioning your drinking, that's something I explore much more deeply in my book, When Drinking Feels Like Coping, and in the 30-day reset plan, which is designed to help people step out of that automatic pattern in a calm, practical way. Both are linked below if you want something structured to follow. But the important thing is this: the moment you start questioning your drinking is often more significant than it seems, because that awareness is usually the beginning of change. There's another reason people wait. Changing your relationship with alcohol means changing routines. It means rethinking evenings, social situations, habits that may have been part of life for years. And that can feel uncomfortable. So the brain naturally prefers the familiar, even if the familiar isn't really working anymore. It's easier to say, I'll sort this out later, but later rarely arrives on its own. For most people, the turning point isn't dramatic. It's a quiet decision, a moment where the question shifts from, is this really a problem, to, do I really want to keep living like this? And that's a completely different question, because it's no longer about labels or judgment. It's about alignment and about how you really want to feel, about whether the habit you've been repeating still makes sense for the life you want. And once that question becomes clear enough, change starts to feel less like a loss and more like relief. If you've been questioning your drinking for a while, you're not alone. Many people sit in that space much longer than they need to. Not because they're weak, but because the pattern feels normal, and normal can be surprisingly powerful. But once you see the pattern clearly, you start to realize something important. You don't have to wait for things to get worse before you change something. And if this video resonated with you, you might find the rest of my videos helpful on my playlist, The Hidden Costs of Normal Drinking. Sometimes the biggest shift in life doesn't start with crisis. It starts with a quiet realization that you're ready for something different.